This lecture is lecture number 9, especially part number C. Before starting today's lecture about the JavaScript in w3schools.com, and today we learn about number chapter. But before starting that lecture, this is just interim session introducing some real application using JavaScript. Okay, first, you are very familiar to this single and simple web page. Here, let's look at this part. After midterm exam, 7th week, that is the midterm exam. After that, this week we are in 9th week, and now I am introducing the lecture number 9, part C. You can refer to these lecture videos in advance. Even before uploading in the Blackboard, I'm uploading in this YouTube channel, so you can refer to them in advance if you want. Okay. Here, if you are clicking the right button of your mouse, then you can see this view page source. Then you can refer to that source code for that. And here you can see HTML5, as we learned already. This is so simple. This one is about HTML5. And the other HTML elements, even this meta tags and title. And here this one is about CSS. And here very simple CSS, because this is very simple single web page. And here you can see link style sheet, and that URL here, and some basic HTML elements in this body section. Here we cannot see any JavaScript statement here. Thus, using only HTML as well as CSS, those simple element and style, we can implement static web page like this. Thus, this one is one single web page without JavaScript. Then let's move to the next, to this one. We can go to the bulletin board, and here you can see a little more complicated, complex web page. And if you are clicking the right side of your mouse, then you can see this page source. Then you can click this one. Then here, this one is a little bit more complicated and more meta tags, style sheet. This style is also more complicated. We are not going through that styles here. Instead, we are just briefly looking at this JavaScript. This one is including JavaScript statements. Now we are learning this one. Here, even though we are not going through this one, we are using this one. And script and script pair. Here also script and script pair. Also here script and script pair. And probably this one is Google APIs. And this one, Google is providing that platform.javascript. And simply we can include here. And also another one. This one is also Google, but Google is providing this one. Also Google.js JavaScript, and probably this one is for Google's AdSense. That is Google's advertisement. And also here, in several different places in this single web page, we can see script pairs. Those are JavaScript statements. Here, this one is provided by the Google also, and also later we can see other JavaScript statement. This is probably function, and probably this one is Facebook. Facebook is providing these APIs. So simply we can bring that source that is provided by Facebook.com, and we can include that Facebook.com icon, and we can link to the Facebook.com. In this way, we can use JavaScript. Also, this one is Twitter.com, and also Twitter.com is providing this widget.javascript API. Thus, we can include here, and we can use that. Here you can see a tweet button and a share button provided by Facebook. We can go to the Facebook.com directly after clicking this one. That is a kind of dynamic effect. Also, this Google AdSense we'll look at anyhow later. You can see this is Google AdSense. This is provided by Google, ads by Google, and this one is hooked up to this web page, and Google's AdSense for their advertisement. This one is being used. And let's look at another one. This one is wopen.com, and that is same domain name, wopen.net. Same contents are provided. And here you can see this one is Google advertisement. Also, this one is provided by Google. Depending upon the customers condition, different customers, this one will be provided in different ways, depending upon the location of the customer, depending upon their age, or depending upon their hobbies, or depending upon the favorite goods for advertisement to be effective for that advertisement. And this one is provided by myself, and I am introducing my books. And this one is not by Google, and only this one is provided by Google. I can use this Google advertisement, and that I can show here also, depending upon my design of that web page. I can provide also here, instead of my books, I can provide Google's advertisement. Long time ago, I presented many Google's advertisement here, and I changed it to mine, to my books here. Also, this is Google's advertisement. Also, in the mobile phone, handphone, that the screen size is not wide enough. Thus, this responsive web design especially adjusted for that small screen size. Instead of this advertisement, this one will be shown there, and due to the different appropriate design for the specific smartphone instead of this PC screen. And here let's look at the source code as we did already with the other web page. Here, with your mouse button on the right side of your mouse button, you can click this one, and left button you can click this one, page source. Also here we can see many web elements, HTML elements here. And also let's focus on that script. Here let's briefly passing through this. This is about style. Also animation, as we learned already, keyframes, animation name, example. And here let's focus on that. Script/script. This one is about the function name, JavaScript function name. The name is search check. This one is checking, and also this one is another script statement here. This one is send form JavaScript statements. Also this one is API, Google's API, and also that this same, and this one is also Google's API. Also Facebook. This one is about Facebook. And also this one is about Twitter, as we observed already. Very similar one. This is Facebook share button. Like this, we can use JavaScript also in this element, HTML element. Even in that inline, this element we can implement on event handler, that is JavaScript here, even though we didn't learn about this. On mouse out event handling JavaScript statement here. In this way we can implement some dynamic effect. Also we can see many JavaScript statements spread in that HTML web page. Many HTML elements, and let's try to find some script. We can find Control F and the JavaScript is just simply script. Then we can find the JavaScript spread in this complicated web page, like this. JavaScript can be embedded simply like this. This is event, mouse out event handling statement. Let's move to the next, like this. Also, this one is alphabet. To search simply, just simple clicking, we can access some information, and we are implementing this JavaScript. And this is event handling, click event handling, click event, and the click event handling. This is JavaScript function. The parameter pass, this parameter E is passed to that send form that is shown in front of this web page. And also this number I'll show you. This one is about this. Simply here, this is Korean consonant. Simply into this one we can get some information. That information title is starting into this consonant, Korean consonant. And also this is Korean vowel. Okay, if I'm clicking this one, this starting into that Korean vowel. All Korean vowel, same R Korean vowel, like that. And let's go back here. There's you to this one. Also this one is alphabet and the number, and this one is also 100 last name, Korean last name. Simply we can get it. And most the population is so much in Korea, over 5 or 4 or 5 million, depending upon their branch tree of that last name. We can see many branches in terms of that family tree, and these Kim, Lee, Park, Choi, Jung, and those are the very popular last name in Korea. And simply you can click this one, then you can get that information like this. Kim, that is starting into this last name Kim, like that. Simply with this simple click we can access that information without many clicks. Thus this one is simplifying that user interface and user experience. This one is implemented with the JavaScript as we observed here, and this one is instead of href URL JavaScript, and this is JavaScript function to call using this parameter. The parameter is last name or alphabet or Korean first consonant or vowel like this. Thus, to implement this kind of dynamic application, dynamic user interface, we are using JavaScript. Thus, here in this single web page, we are using HTML and the CSS style, and finally this JavaScript. Those three things: HTML element and CSS style and the JavaScript statements are being integrated. Thus, we should understand how to integrate. If we learn each individual concept about HTML or each style after learning the CSS, we should have some capability of integrating all of them for the client application. Even server-side application, we should have some capability of integration to the complete web service. Okay, that is the my message about this web page, about the JavaScript and the application of JavaScript. Also here we can see many JavaScript statements. Those are spread in this web page, and we can integrate together to these HTML elements and this class style, and here style here, and even these JavaScript statements. Those are all combined and integrated to complete web service. Okay, I'll finish here about this introduction, and let's go on. Let's move on to the today's lecture about the wcschools.com. The chapter name is Numbers, about numbers. Okay, this one is about numbers. Number is not very difficult. It is so simple. We should learn about something about number to deal with this number properly in our web page, web application. JavaScript has only one type of number, and numbers can be written with or without decimal. And sometimes we want to show very large number or a very small number with this power to exponent notation. That means 10 to the power 5, 10 to the power minus 5. And the JavaScript numbers are always 64-bit floating point. And in terms of the format, among 64 bits, MSB, that is just for sign, plus or minus. And this part, MSB side, this part, 52 until 62, that will be used for exponent, 11 bit. And the remaining one is value, also known as fraction, or in other words, mantissa. That will be 52 bits. Integers are accurate up to 15 digits. That is the precision of this JavaScript. Sometimes float point arithmetic is not always 100% accurate, like this. This one is very special, and X will be like this. You can try. The other numbers, if we are changing that, you cannot see some strange thing, but this one is correct. But in the previous example, if we are adding together, like our previous example, then you can see this is not 100% accurate. Something wrong here. This is the about JavaScript intrinsic characteristic about this floating point arithmetic. To show properly, this one is the way, but you can refer to that. Adding numbers and the strings. Even though plus operator is adding, but that can be used for concatenation for two purposes that may be used depending upon the type of the operand, as we learned already. Numbers are added and the strings are concatenated. Here, those are numbers, then those will be added together. If those are numbers, then they will be added. Not this one. Here, this one is always okay. This one is character string, because we are using this double quote. Thus that means string. Then this operand is string. Then that will be used for concatenation operator. Thus 10, 20. Character string is the result for that. Also, at least one is character string, then they will be concatenated together. The plus sign is always plus operator. You should be careful about that. We learned already. Thus I will skip some simple contents. Okay, let's look at other operator, numeric operator. This one is division. Division, this one is used only for single purpose. Divide, nothing else, just divide. Then even though this is character, but numeric character, then this one is considering this one as a number, and this one is trying to divide properly like this. The right result will be shown here. We should be careful about only the plus operator, because that has the two purposes depending upon that operand data type. Here, minus. This one is being used for single purpose, that is subtraction. Thus, even though that is character string 100, this one is delimit this one as numbers. Thus, this one is showing out the proper result, but always this one we should be careful about that. This one is, even though it seems to be numeric number, but numeric character string here. Then this one is delimit this one as character string. Thus this one is working as a concatenation operator. Thus the result will be like that. Okay. This one is reserved word and not a number. Sometimes if we are calculating and that cannot be calculated in terms of the numeric operation, and the result will be not a number like this, 100. We want to divide it to this apple word. That cannot be divided. Then the result will be not a number. We don't know the result, but we are using this not a number for this special case. But this one, if we are trying to divide pure numeric number into this character string number, then automatically it is being changed to pure numeric number, and it intelligently that is being calculated. Thus we can get the proper result 10. But this one, no way, we cannot divide. Thus the result will be not the number. Thus this one is checking. This method is checking whether that is not the number. If that is not the number, then the result will be Boolean value true. Like that, because that is not a number. This one is checking whether that is not a number. Is it not a number? Yes, that is not a number. Thus that is true. Okay, if we are trying to add the not a number with the other number, then the result will be not a number, like this. If we are trying to concatenate together, then they will be concatenated, not NaN and this 5. Those are concatenated together. That is the result for that. If we are checking the data type of not a number, then the result will be number. Infinity. This infinity or negative infinity is the value JavaScript will return if we calculate the number outside the largest possible number, like this. This one we can calculate the very big number, and this one is checking whether that is infinity or not. Before that, until infinity, before that, it is showing out the result like this. That is starting with the number 2 initially, and that will be multiplied like a square. And here, between here and the sum after this, that is the maximum number, and presented as infinity here. And we can see the real maximum number later. If we are dividing certain number into 0, then the result will be infinity, as we know. Negative value, that will generate negative infinity. Type of infinity, that is the number. If we are using this prefix 0x, then that means that is the following one, that is the hexadecimal value. If we are using the prefix 0, then that means that is octal value. That means that is, okay, this one is to explain about that. Never write a number with the leading 0 like that, 0. If we are using this prefix 0 in front of the certain number, then this one, JavaScript is dealing with that number as an octal number. That means base 8 instead of base 10. We can convert this method, and these parentheses here, this one is including some base number, base 10, base 32, base 16. Depending upon that, we can convert to different number. This one is base 8 binary number we can generate with this one. This one is not recommendable way, as we learned already for the strings, and that was not recommendable way, and that strings can be object, also numbers can be object, but those are not recommendable way. Normally, JavaScript numbers are primitive values like a string, and primitive values created from literals like this. But numbers can also be defined as object with the keyword, like the previous example string. If we are using this keyword new, then we can generate object string. This one is number string. Not recommended. Mainly just for reference. Here, warning. To not create number object, it slows down execution speed. The new keyword complicates the code. This one is complicating. Thus, please do not use this one, new keyword. This can produce some unexpected result. Okay, you can refer to others, like our previous example about string, very similar. Okay, this one is the method related to the number. Even though we are using the primitive values, and the primitive values cannot have properties and the method because they are not objects. But with JavaScript, like our previous example about the strings, some method and the properties for string, primitive string, we used. For method, we can use this method and properties. For numbers, we can use. Those are also available to primitive values. Because JavaScript treats primitive values as objects when executing treats primitive values as object when executing methods and properties like this. We have several methods to treat numbers properly in our web application. To string method, sometimes we want to change the pure numeric number to string. All number method can be used on any type of numbers, literals, variables, or expressions like this. With this method we can convert to string here. Also, this expression, the result will be changed to string. Also, this to exponential method we can convert to exponential. It turns a string with the number rounded and written using exponential notation. This is the example for that. If we are using 2 and 4, depending upon that, here below this decimal number, we can show how many numbers below that. To fix the method, with this one, we can below this decimal, how many numbers? 0, and below this 2, below this 4, below this 6. Thus, it's a number written with a specified number of decimals. To precision method, this one is returning a string with a number written with a specified length. Here, this one is including the number before this decimal. The whole numbers are considered. 4 means this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 means including this. Value method, with this one, we can return a number as a number. In JavaScript, a number can be a primitive value or an object. With this value of method, this method is used internally in JavaScript to convert number object to primitive values. But you don't need to use this one intentionally, just for reference. Converting variables to numbers. Sometimes we want to convert, and this one will be very useful, and we'll learn about it. There are 3 JavaScript methods that can be used to convert variables to numbers. In our web page user interface, the input or output, those are mainly character string, and to process internally we need to convert. If that is numeric character string, then we should use that pure numeric number, then we can use this one. The number method or parse integer or parse float method. These methods are not number method but global JavaScript method. That means that is belonging to window object, and we can use directly without any prefix of that object name here. Global JavaScript method: number, parse float, parse integer. This one is number. First one returns a number converted from its argument, and the parse float, this one is passing its argument and returns a floating point number. Parse integer, this one is passing its argument and returns an integer. The number method can be used to convert JavaScript variables to numbers, like this. That may be convenient. Sometimes this one is returning, even though there is some spaces here, this one is returning pure numeric number 10. Even though some trailing spaces, this one is returning pure numeric number 10, like this. Boolean value, also that will be converted to this 1 or 0. If that they are enumerated to comma, then this one is returning not a number, because that is confusing. Also John pure character string, that is returning not a number. Sometimes if we are using this number, this is a rare case to use in our real application, but just for reference. This date since 1970 until this date, if we are using this number, then this one is returning certain value, this one. The meaning of this value is the unit is millisecond since 1970 January 1st until here. The time elapsed, and the time is millisecond. Let's look at parse integer. This one is more useful, and probably we will use later in our JavaScript application in other chapters. Parse integer parses a string and returns a whole number. Space is allowed, but only the first number is returned. Okay, here returns 10 integer, even though that is decimal number, and the pure integer 10, that will be returned. If that empty spaces are embedded here, then first one. This one is first one is not pure numeric number, thus this one is returning not a number. Parse float, this one is passing a string and returns a number. Spaces are allowed, like our previous example. Only the first number is returned, like this, like this. This one is returning, including that decimal. Number properties, and that is the property name those are predefined. Max value, this one is returning the largest number possible in JavaScript. We can find out what is the largest number and minimum number and positive infinity, negative infinity. This is not a number. Maximum value. Let's look at what is the maximum value in this JavaScript. Possible maximum value. This one. This one, 10 to the power of 308. This one is the maximum number, largest possible number in JavaScript. For reference. Minimum value. That is the 10 to the power minus 324. Just for reference. Okay, you can refer to others. Similarly, this one is generating not a number, as we learned already in our previous chapter. If this one is something trivial information about that max value. If we are using this one, then we cannot properly show this one is undefined. Then this one should be number instead of that. If we are using in this way, then instead of that, that should be number. NUMBR. Then we can show out the maximum value that can be shown. That can be the maximum value, possible maximum value in JavaScript. Okay, let's move to the next. Okay, next topic is about the JavaScript arrays, and this arrays, that this one will be discussed in next lecture. Thus I will wrap up today's lecture here.